I would like to introduce Sebastian, who's a leading expert in data and AI, with over a decade of experience in the industry. He's founder and CEO of Statworks, which is one of the top-tier data and AI consultancies in the DACH region, as well as the AI hub here in Frankfurt, which is a leading AI ecosystem in the Frankfurt Rhein-Main region. Sebastian is a pioneer in the AI industry and has actively shaped the German AI landscape. He is not only successful as an entrepreneur, but also active as a business angel and quite involved in some of the influential AI startups here from Europe as well. And with the AI Hub Frankfurt and his role as co-CEO at AI Frankfurt Rhein-Main e.V., he supports the AI transformation of the Frankfurt Rhein-Main region in Germany. And Frankfurt, as some of you might know, is quite known for its heavy data centers, which we had from the past, and quite an important location for the internet overall. So I believe having AI located here in Frankfurt is something which we have to focus on for the future to come as well. Thanks for being here and enjoy the talk.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone, how are you doing? So, I have the honor today to talk to you about my favorite topic, which is artificial intelligence. So Jan has already mentioned. I'm quite active in the field, so basically everything in my professional life revolves around artificial intelligence. My wife cannot hear it anymore, but I'm still very focused and very committed to shape the future of Germany and also here the region of Frankfurt Rhein-Main when it comes to AI. And today I'm trying to give you a little bit of an outlook into the nearer and farer future of artificial intelligence. I hope that you will understand also a little bit of the aspects and intersections when it comes to blockchain and Web3. However, the presenter after me will have a much stronger focus and double click on that. But for me today, it's all about AI. So before we take a look into the future, let's take a little bit a look at the current situation. And I like to start my talks mostly with a funny meme. Here you see what's going on basically at the moment. So everyone is yelling AI very loudly in, let's say, a situation where you basically cannot hear it anymore. But there's also a deeper meaning to that. So, as we all know, and hopefully everyone has understood it, AI has a massive transformative potential. So all of the people who are screaming very loud may be right. However, there's a big problem with the promise of AI, and that is that the big value that everybody is talking about has not yet manifested. And this is true for the microscopic level, but also for the macroscopic level. On the microscopic level, like all of the companies are investing heavily into artificial intelligence, into starting big programs, trying to bring use cases into their business. And you could assume that if it's true what everybody is saying, that should be also reflected in the on the macro perspective as well. But you actually cannot really see it. And here I've brought 3 interesting charts from The Economist, where they basically try to analyze if there's any kind of measurable evidence that AI is basically creating any kind of value anywhere. And this is a very interesting article, also big recommend to read. But you can see in basically all of the metrics they analyzed that there is at this point in time no real measurable impact of AI on the overall macroeconomic output, at least here for the US, which is of course the leading nation in AI on this planet. So the relationship status with AI is it's complicated. So on one hand, everyone is making a big buzz and a big hype around the technology, but on the other side, only in very few selected cases, a substantial amount of value has actually been created. And this is something where I personally expect 2025 to be very pivotal. So either we will see a situation where people really start to create substantial and measurable value out of the technology, or the bubble will burst. So let's see how that will turn out. So in the nearer future, and this will be basically a timeline, let's say 1 to 5 years, of course, AI will not stop. And I brought some, I think, interesting examples how that could turn out. As of today, we are still in the very, very early stages of artificial intelligence development, so in the stage of the narrow artificial intelligence. So this basically means that we have AI systems that basically only take selected attributes of human intelligence and basically bring that into the computer. Right? So for example, seeing, like visual perception, textual understanding, pattern matching, and so on and so on. What everyone is waiting for at the moment is when will be the step to what we call artificial general intelligence, which is basically the combination of all of those intelligent traits into a singular model that is then able, similar to as we do it as humans, to transcend between the different aspects and facets of intelligence seamlessly. Of course, when that will happen, also the spectrum and potential applications that AI will be able to do will broadly expand. However, even in the narrow state of intelligence where we are located right now, there are some amazing things that are possible and will happen in the next 1 to 5 years. And I brought some examples that I find meaningful in this case. So the first example that I have is the ability of foundation models to process any kind of data. So not sure if you're aware of that, but at the moment we have foundation models for text, we have them for images, for video, for audio, and one big chunk of data is missing. And this is tabular data, like our good old Excel spreadsheets. So this is really interesting to see because all of the machine learning and AI stuff that happened in the last 10 years or even before that was basically based on structured data, like on tabular data. And when we transcended into generative AI and into LLMs and all of that stuff, tabular data became somehow neglected. And the problem is that tabular data, even though it's very simple from the architecture, is very difficult to understand. Because in every column of an Excel data set could be a completely different data point. Could be financial numbers, could be number of employees, could also be the bee population in Siberia. You don't know, and the AI doesn't know either. So this is a kind of a frontier where there is some research going on, where people basically try to make foundation models ready for tabular data so that there won't be any kind of training necessary on that specific data set, which is a big game changer then for the application of foundation models. The second example is agentic AI. So as of today, when we work with LLMs, the LLMs or the systems we use do not really have agency. So meaning that we as humans explicitly have to tell the machines what they have to do. For example, write me an opening speech for my talk at Blockwall. Yeah? And Yannis read it out loud. So we as humans really have to tell the systems what they have to do. And the next level of that development is that the AI systems will be able, based on a rather abstract formulation of our target, will be able to break that down into subtasks and execute on those subtasks. So they're taking, for example, a prompt like manage my mailbox. What does this mean? Like it means prioritizing the emails, identifying the key stakeholders, analyzing the relevance of the email, and. So they're laying out a strategic plan and then also will be able to execute on that strategic plan. And this is a big difference compared to what we are seeing right now with all of the other LLMs. Because the new generation of agentic systems will also be able to interact with other software systems and be able to execute tasks. So for example, writing an actual email and sending it out, or pulling data from a database, or writing data into another database. So they will be integrated much more deeply into the core value generation processes of companies, and probably also be very deeply integrated into our everyday life. And this is a, I think, very interesting example that we will see now in the next 2 to 5 years. So the next example is pretty obvious, but also not very obvious. It's software engineering and AI. So as of today, we already have tools like GitHub Copilot or other programming tools like Cursor and stuff like that, who make it easier for developers to write software. Like they're supporting them, they're checking for errors and stuff like simple assistant tasks for the software developer. But if you take a look at the problem, from a bigger perspective, it's actually a bit more tricky. So what we are doing right now with software is basically, out of all of the possibilities how the software could turn out, we're only exploring one very, very tiny point of that possibilities, because we have limited amount of resources and time. So for example, if you open your Windows desktop and you open Word, like Word in theory could look very, very different. However, during the engineering of the application, somebody made the decision, okay, let's go with that. And the reason for that is that writing software takes a lot of human effort and a lot of time. And I think, and also others, that with AI we will become capable of exploring broader possibilities of how software could actually look like, because it makes the process faster, more efficient, and even maybe at a future state autonomous. So for example, I could prompt the system, I don't know, please write me a reservation tool for the Blockwall conference, make 10 suggestions how that could look like. And then the AI is basically coming up with different variants of the software, and we can iterate on the problem much faster than by classical software engineering. And I'm not sure if you are aware of this, but everything around us is based on software. Like this screen is based on software, your mobile phone is based on software, this camera is running on software. So if AI will only accelerate the software engineering process by 20%, we're living in a completely different world. And I think that is a very interesting perspective to think about the impact of AI when it comes to writing code and software engineering. Another example that I find particularly interesting is that everyone is talking about how AI will impact business, how we will make more money, how we will save costs, and so on and so on. But I think that the biggest impact that AI will have on humanity is in scientific research. Because, and we're already seeing that, that with the support of AI during the scientific discovery process, we can iterate on thoughts and experiments and analyzing data, writing scientific abstracts and papers 10 times faster than before. So we can assume that in the nearer future, and of course also in the farer future, AI will have a dramatic acceleration on the scientific discovery process. And there are already amazing examples of how that turned out in reality. So for example, here, this is a nuclear fusion reactor from the inside, and there's an AI that's basically controlling a magnetic field that keeps the hot plasma gas that's turning around this middle thing, that keeps it basically in place. So this is something that with traditional software engineering is almost impossible to do. However, with AI, the system is basically capable of navigating and managing all of that complex physical processes with a computer program. Another example from scientific discovery is here from a recent study from MIT that gave material discovery scientists an AI tool that should support the discovery process of, I don't know, metals or polymers and stuff like that. So they are basically sitting there all day and thinking about, okay, what kind of new materials could be interesting for manufacturing and all of that stuff. And there was an experimental group and a control group. The experimental group used AI and the control group didn't use it. And oh wonder, the experimental group exhibited a massive impact in terms of output quality, and time to prototype. So this is basically where all of those curves went up. So meaning that compared to the control group, which didn't use AI, the output of the scientists was much, much higher than in the control group. But there was a problem. And the problem was that the experimental group, like the scientists who used AI, exhibited a massive drop in workplace satisfaction. Why is that? Because the AI took over all of the relevant cognitive work of the scientists, and the scientists, at the end of the day, just clicked yes or no. So they were only used as a validator for the outputs of the AI system. And I think this poses a very interesting question also for us in the near future, because we are talking about that a lot right now these days. How exactly will the man-machine collaboration on the workplace look like? How exactly can we use AI in everyday work so that we don't get bored out and just be as a control instance for the AI? How can we leverage our human capabilities to the max, to the most, so that we still have a right to be there and not just only be somebody checking yes or no on the outputs of an AI system? So, speaking of productivity, if you take a look again at the macro perspective, the overall productivity in most of the countries on this planet steadily rose over the last decades. And this is due to technological advance, right? So every day we go to work and we work for 1 hour, we are more productive year by year. And the big question will now be, what will AI do to this curve? So are we just going linearly up because AI is just another technological breakthrough or advance? Or will AI do something different to this productivity curve? On the other side, besides being more productive, we all work less. And this is also a big macro trend over the last decades, that the amount of yearly worked hours is steadily decreasing for most of the countries on this planet. And the big, like the red line at the very, very bottom is Germany. So Germany is basically in the OECD the country with the least amount of yearly worked hours. So taking all of that into consideration for one moment, so thinking about a scenario where all of the big promises of the AI prophets and the techno-optimists, how you call them, are true, and that AI will actually be able to increase productivity measurable also on a macroeconomic level, so that every one of us can do more in the same time, maybe also work a little bit less. Wouldn't that be nice? Yes, it would be, but we have a problem. The thing is that all of this new productivity and everything that comes with it on the beneficial side, at this point in time, is 99% dependent on 5 people on this planet, or 5 companies on this planet. And we as Europe, and also in Germany, we must ask us the question, is this something that we are comfortable with? Is any kind of new value creation from AI, is it okay for us that it's dependent on chips from NVIDIA or software from OpenAI or from Google or from Microsoft? And I think you can also glimpse a little bit here my side hint also to decentralization and technology like blockchain that could be really, really game-changing for AI in the future when it comes to not being dependent on a singular entity or a multitude of entities. There were some people in Germany that tried to do it. Unfortunately, they failed in the endeavor of creating sovereign AI systems, at least in Germany. There's, of course, a bigger movement of open source models that try to compete with the closed source models. But in the past, they were kind of lagging a little bit behind the outputs from the big frontier labs. However, that gap is kind of closing in. So this is also a very interesting thing to observe. So we have to ask us a little bit the question, Europe, where you are going? Not only with AI, also in, of course, a bit broader spectrum. So I think that AI is one of the biggest challenges for Europe because at this point in time, we are 100% dependent on the US in terms of infrastructure, in terms of data, in terms of models. And on the other side, we also have a massive opportunity for Europe to transform our businesses and our business model, to accelerate our processes, to be more productive, to generate more output. So this is something that we will need to navigate in the near future. How can we leverage the technology so that it will become at the best of our human and European values that we all stand for here? So in the last minutes of the talk, let's dive a little bit into the far future. So this was basically what will happen, I don't know, in the next 5 years. How far in the future? This far. So 30 years. So a bit of a thought experiment right now. So let's assume that AI was able to jump on the first ladder of the step, like artificial general intelligence, and then this AGI system was capable of reinventing itself and then transcended into some kind of super intelligence, like an AI system that is exponentially more intelligent than all of the humans on this planet combined. What would that mean for us humans and for our society if we would live in that world? So first of all, let's take a look at the capabilities of those systems on a really aggregated perspective. So if you have a simple biological organism, like a Pantoffeltierchen or something, it can basically survive and it can replicate. We as humans, we can also survive and replicate. By the way, this is where we spend a lot of energy and time on. And we can also design our software, at least to some extent. And this is the big differentiator for us humans. We can learn. So we can learn new things. For example, I could now start to learn Italian. The problem is it takes time. The wirings in our brain are very slow, and it takes a lot of time and practice to really learn new things. And this is one of the traits that a super intelligent AI system would be far more capable. It would not be able to survive and replicate, so it would probably copy itself all over the internet. It would be also able to learn in a completely unimaginable speed for us. So learning Italian is probably then a microsecond away, and not, in our case, 5 years. And the other thing that the AI is far more better than we, it can also design its own hardware if it's super intelligent. So we cannot just plug ourselves a third arm on the back. It doesn't work. However, the AI system would, in theory, be able to design not only its software, but also its hardware, how that it's operating on. So, what are the potential scenarios? This is something that I got from a book that I find really compelling. So it's called Life 3.0 from Max Tegmark. And there are actually more scenarios, but I find those four really interesting. So top left is what we all don't want. It's like the Conqueror AI, like the Terminator, finding out that humans are really useless for this planet, just a waste of resources and trying to kill us all. I think that's a scenario that we all don't want, and probably this will not happen. The bottom left, reversion, could be a scenario where there's a big conflict or escalation that the AI creates, like for example, triggering a war or something, and then we as humans are reverting back to our biological rules and saying, okay, AI is a technology we don't want to pursue any further, it's too dangerous, and just locking it away and going back into the woods and live there. The third is the benevolent dictator. This is a scenario where we as humans understand that we are way too stupid compared to the AI, and the AI knows everything better, and we accepting the, let's say, the agency of the AI, and that the AI takes all of the decisions for us. Could also be, I don't know. But the more realistic scenario is the bottom left. It's called the boxed AI. So the boxed AI is a scenario in which a singular actor, be it a company or be it a government, discovers the superintelligence and then leverages it and not let anyone else participate on the benefits. So for example, China discovering a superintelligent AI system and then optimizing its economy, creating strategies for international trade, curing all of the diseases for the Chinese population, and so on and so on. But it's boxed and it's contained and controlled by a singular actor. And this is a scenario that I personally find possible and plausible, especially when we take a look, for example, at the conversion of OpenAI from a open source non-profit organization to a closed source for-profit organization. Like, if somebody would be able to build such a technology, why would he or she not use it for her or his own benefit? And this, again, I think is a little side hint that you note that decentralization and thinking about who owns artificial intelligence will become a very significant discussion that we need to undergo in the next years. Short term, it's very likely that all of those, like, predictions into the future are, a little bit off. We will have a probably overestimation of what's possible. We're already seeing it. All of the promises are way too big to be delivered on. However, in the long term, we humans tend to dramatically underestimate the impact of technologies. This was true for the internet, this is probably true for blockchain, and this is very, very likely very true for artificial intelligence. So everything we're talking about here today and all of the things that I'm saying is probably only a very, very tiny fraction of what will actually happen with AI. And I think we should not only discuss what AI will bring to the table. I think during the invention and creation and shaping the course of AI, it's very, very important that we also employ our human intelligence. Thank you very much for your attention.